fine, because that's really what it is. It's the photographs and stuff come through the feed.
Right.
And I was like, what? Like, because she had like
because she did put it out
stuck
there.
under the bed, like the booty's up in the air with her head stuck under the bed.
Did you ever have the opportunity where you got invited and you said no to it?
Hell yeah.
What was the
Hell
consequences
yeah.
when you said no?
Puppy invited me for weeks asking me to come and teach him how to, wanted me to be his acting coach for a while. So then my assistant was like, he wants to hang out with you next week. And I was like, for what? He's like, I think he's trying to. That's what my assistant said. I was like, oh.
50 Cent just shared some exclusive behind-the-scenes video that Terrence Howard supposedly sent him. It's all about Diddy's rumored freak-offs. Terrence is finally speaking out, and the information is intense. For years, he's hinted that he was pushed out of the industry because he refused to be part of shady things happening behind closed doors. But now, with all the new accusations against Diddy, it feels like the truth is finally coming out. People are starting to see who is really in control behind the scenes. Let's be real. Diddy isn't the only one caught up in this mess. Terrence Howard didn't stop with him. He also threw major shade at Diddy's rumored girlfriend, Young Miami. People are saying she was part of those wild parties too. But what really had everyone glued to their phones is what Terrence says he caught her doing on camera, and it's way crazier than anyone expected. This isn't your usual celebrity gossip. This could seriously shake things up. What's even more shocking is that Terrence shared all of this out of nowhere. Nobody even knew he had dirt on Diddy. Then suddenly, he shows up on a podcast and spills everything. And the way he tells it, his story matches up with things people have been quietly saying about Diddy for years. Now, let's dive into the next layer. Talk about shady deals and really uncomfortable situations behind the scenes.
Did you ever have the opportunity where you got invited and you said no to it?
Hell yeah.
What was the consequences when you said no?
Puffy invited me for weeks asking me to come and teach him how to, wanted me to be his acting coach for a while. Go there and he's sitting around just looking. I'm like, okay, what's the material you want to work on? He's just looking at me. Then next thing you know, okay, hey, will you help me? I want to hear your music. So I come over there and I play the music and he's sitting there just looking at me, like waiting. Okay. So then my assistant was like, he wants to hang out with you next week. And I was like, for what? He's like, I think he's trying to. That's what my assistant said. And I was like, oh, okay. Now I get it. So now no more communication. Now to be hands off with somebody. A number of producers come in to make the approach. And you threaten to punch them in the mouth, or threaten to knock their head off for talking to you or looking at you like you're a woman. When you approach a real man about his masculinity, you're going to get a real reaction back.
Terrence Howard says he saw everything up close. According to him, Diddy reached out saying he needed help with acting, but the vibe didn't match the reason. Sure, Diddy has done a little acting before, but nothing big enough to need someone like Terrence to coach him. Still, Terrence showed up thinking it was just a normal business meeting. But once he got there, the energy changed fast. Diddy allegedly started acting strange, like he had a different plan behind the invite. Terrence wasn't feeling it at all. He made it clear he doesn't play those kind of games, and shut the whole thing down right then and there. Terrence didn't just leave. He walked out without a second thought. But that wasn't the end of it. He went even further and said Diddy had tried to get close to other men the same way. According to Terrence, every man who's been to one of Diddy's famous parties had something happen, and it definitely wasn't just a normal party vibe. He even claimed some of them lost their man cards at those wild events. These weren't innocent hangouts. Terrence is making it sound like something shady was going on behind those doors. What makes it even more disturbing is that this isn't the first time Terrence has spoken out about things like this in Hollywood. He's been saying for a while that he didn't get pushed out of the industry because his career was failing, but because he refused to follow Hollywood's twisted rules. A few years ago, he talked about why he really stepped away from acting. And it wasn't because he was tired or couldn't get roles. He said Hollywood was trying to strip away his manhood. When he stood his ground and said no to all the shady stuff, that's when people started whispering, calling him difficult, and trying to flip the story on him. Just like they've done to many women in the industry who spoke out, they used the same tactics on Terrence, just a different target. So when Terrence suddenly announced his retirement from acting, in December 2022, people were shocked. He was still landing big roles, his fans loved him, and everything seemed fine on the outside. There was no drama, no scandals, no issues with studios, just a clean exit, or so it seemed. But Terrence said the real story was hidden behind the scenes. He claimed they were putting him in uncomfortable situations, like testing how far he was willing to go just to keep working. And when he refused to play along, they started slowly pushing him out of the spotlight.
When you give up your manhood, I've never seen somebody recover from it. That was all the people that went to the puffy parties. That was all the people that did all those things thinking that there was never going to be a consequence for what they were doing. Get punked out and pimped out by some greater desire. You shouldn't have a greater desire than being a man.
Terrence Howard said they tried to attack his manhood. And when he stood his ground, Hollywood didn't like it. Before anyone knew it, he was gone. No drama, no big goodbye, just quietly pushed out. He did eventually come out of retirement, but he's been moving carefully ever since. Now that he's back in the spotlight, Terrence isn't staying quiet anymore. He's been calling out what he sees as the dark, shady side of the entertainment world. One of the main things he talks about is the pressure he felt to wear a dress on screen. Terrence says he was never okay with that. According to him, those roles didn't have anything to do with the story or the character. It felt more like a setup to embarrass him or break down his masculinity. He stood firm and said no, and honestly, he's not the only one. This isn't a new rumor. Over the years, several black male actors have said the same thing, that producers tried to sneak in scenes where they'd have to wear a dress, even when it didn't make sense for the role. It didn't even make sense for the story. Comedian Cat Williams also spoke up about this in his interview with Club Shay Shay. He said Hollywood has been playing this game for a long time, pressuring men to act feminine or wear dresses, usually with big paychecks attached. But Cat kept it real. He shared that he turned down major money more than once to stay true to himself. According to him, the pressure to give up your image just for a check is way more common than people think. Now Terrence is the latest person to say he's not going for it either. And when Cat's interview started blowing up online, Terrence didn't hesitate. He stepped in and shared his own truth too. This hit hard, right? Remember all the rumors? People saying Terrence got fired because of his bad temper, or that he was just too tough to work with. That's what people were saying for years. But once Cat Williams started revealing how deep the issues go in Hollywood, Terrence stepped up to shut down that whole story. He made it clear he wasn't replaced because he was a problem on set. He got replaced because he refused to back down. He wasn't going to let the industry disrespect him or take away his pride. And in his own words, that's exactly why they push him out. Terrence shared a powerful quote from his dad. "Never take the vertebrae out your back or the base out your throat. I ain't raised no sheep. I raise men. Stay a man." Then he added, "Being a man is a curse now because the society ain't built for real men anymore. Everything's androgynous. The more successful men are now, the softer they look." And he didn't stop there. He kept going. In the interview, Terrence really doubled down. He said, "There's been a secret push to strip masculinity away from strong black men because real strength is seen as a threat." He claimed, "The system has demonized men, and now there's this formula where most men are forced to be more feminine, lose their power, and forget their strength." Terrence didn't hold back. He said, "They let white men be strong, but when a black man stands tall, suddenly it's a threat." He wasn't going to shrink himself just to fit into someone else's idea of what he should be. He added, "I'm not removing any part of myself just to make your story work. Maybe it's your story that needs to change." According to him, men should be able to stand in their strength and still appreciate a woman's beauty. Simple as that. And with all the heat he's been bringing lately, especially with these bold claims, it's clear he's not backing down anytime soon. Diddy's fans are starting to connect the dots, and honestly, it's starting to make a lot of sense. But trust, that's not the end of it. Word on the street from insiders is that Terrence is still holding back even more explosive information, stuff that could be way more damaging than anything he's already shared. And guess who's right in the middle of it? Diddy's rumored side piece, Young Miami. After Terrence's interview went viral, 50 Cent initially tried to stay out of it. He posted, "No comment, I'm staying positive." God help us all. But now it seems like he's changing his tune. He's suddenly teasing some wild claims about a certain Freakoff video. Reports say Terrence might have filmed the footage himself at one of those infamous parties he attended. And what's in it? Allegedly, it shows young Miami in a situation that's making people raise their eyebrows. At this point, it's not even surprising. The streets have been talking for a while now that young Miami knows way more than she's letting on, and not just as a bystander. People are saying she might have been involved, not as a victim, but as a conspirator in those Freakoffs. And there are receipts that have people talking. For example, when Diddy's other rumored side piece, Gina Hone, posted a picture of herself with Diddy, Miami reportedly went off. She didn't just throw some shade. She came with full force, allegedly threatening to make Diddy force Gina into one of those parties as revenge. The messages that started circulating were brutal. Miami allegedly said things like, "Gina, you've been struggling ever since I came into the picture. You've been crying for a baby for 15 years. You've just been a placeholder. That EP and Diddy gave you scraps when he felt like it. You're just a user." She didn't stop there, adding, "You're the same girl who cried at Tasha K about wanting a baby. Poor thing. I have a career. You're a certified freak. You haven't heard from Diddy since the awards. You're the one talking about getting rid of babies. Let that go, hun." Then came the wildest line. "If I wanted you to eat me, Diddy would have had you on your knees."
That's to protect my integrity and that virgin hole I was telling you about. Right. Because P. Diddy be wanting to party. And you gotta tell him no. You got to tell him no. I did. See, I got the receipts for everything I'm telling you. That's why I can say them so freely.
Can I need no? You here, get your no.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Come on. Because early on you was accusing me of being...
You would have been a munch, not just a munch. That line had the entire internet buzzing, and that's still not the messiest part. Young Miami's name allegedly came up again when another one of Diddy's rumored side pieces ended up pregnant. According to reports, she was bullied into silence. Court documents from an anonymous woman, Jane Doe, claim she was forced to take unknown substances inside Diddy's bathroom. The documents say that in July 2022, she traveled to Diddy's LA mansion at his request. And while she was there, she was made to ingest something she didn't recognize. Shocking court papers say that she later found out the substance she was forced to take allegedly contained ketamine or something similar, which made her black out, slipping in and out of consciousness all night. She made it clear that she never agreed to take anything like that. What she described next was disturbing. She claimed that while she was unconscious, she woke up. When Jane Doe woke up, she was bruised and battered. Clear signs that something awful had happened to her while she was unconscious. She claims Diddy would have her put on shows for him, then load her up with drinks and drugs until she passed out. When she woke up, she wouldn't remember what happened, but she'd be covered in bruises. This wasn't a one-time thing. She says this pattern continued up until July 2024. But it gets worse. Jane Doe says she eventually found out she was pregnant, allegedly with Diddy's baby. That's when things really started to spiral. She claims young Miami began harassing her, pushing her towards a miscarriage. The bullying got so bad, she says it led to the miscarriage. The legal documents state that Jane Doe took a pregnancy test, which came back positive, and she told Diddy. But that's when the pressure started. Korea Brownlee, a known associate of Diddy, allegedly began harassing her nonstop, telling her to get rid of the baby. Jane Doe says she lost the baby shortly after and didn't speak to Diddy or anyone from his camp for almost 3 months. Now here's the kicker. Korea Brownlee is actually young Miami, aka City Girls. Fans aren't finding this hard to believe, especially since she completely lost it when Diddy had a baby with another woman back in 2022. And just when you thought things couldn't get any messier, here comes Lil Rod's lawsuit, which takes everything to a whole new level. In his updated filing, he didn't just accuse Diddy, he made disturbing allegations about young Miami too. According to the lawsuit, she wasn't just a guest. There's a rumor floating around that young Miami wasn't just hanging around at those infamous parties. She was allegedly deeply involved. And it wasn't just her. The claims say she even had family members involved in the mix. Lil Rod, allegedly said that Young Miami acted as a silent witness to everything happening behind closed doors. But it gets darker. He pointed to one specific event that shocked everyone. In this event, Diddy was allegedly drunk and offered cocaine to Lil Rod, who turned it down and walked off to the restroom. That's when things took a wild turn. According to the filing, Young Miami's cousin suddenly burst into the bathroom, groped Mr. Jones, and then dropped to her knees, starting an unwanted act on him. Mr. Jones pushed her away and left the bathroom immediately. But the story didn't end there. He claimed that Young Miami's cousin kept following him, undressing herself, trying to straddle him, and force an encounter in front of Diddy and his staff. According to the documents, this wasn't a one-time thing. It was part of a pattern. On another crazy occasion, Thanksgiving night in 2022 in Miami, Mr. Jones alleged that Diddy asked him and another man, Forrest Taylor, to meet him in a studio bathroom. Diddy allegedly asked for a $100 bill so they could do cocaine together. Mr. Jones said he was scared and only avoided the situation because he didn't have the money. But Diddy didn't stop there. A little while later, he allegedly did the same thing with Young Miami instead. And just when you thought the drama couldn't get any deeper, Terrence Howard dropped even more bombshells. One of the wildest claims was that Young Miami allegedly helped Diddy move drugs and deliver them to him, no matter where he was. According to court documents, this happened during rehearsals for this whole situation just keeps spiraling out of control. It's wild to think about how many people are allegedly involved and the crazy details that are coming to light. If these claims are true, it paints a much darker picture of what's happening behind closed doors in the industry. The fact that Young Miami is allegedly being dragged into this mix makes things even messier. If 50 Cent has videos of her and all these people involved, especially considering his history with Diddy, it seems like we're just getting started with the chaos. With the way things are stacking up, it's clear this isn't just some gossip. It's turning into a full-on scandal. If those receipts get dropped, it could seriously flip the whole narrative. What's your take on all this? Is there more to this story that's yet to come out? Sounds like you're wrapping it up with some strong engagement. Here's a more simplified version. With all the attention now on Young Miami because of Terrence's claims, do you think she's involved more than she's letting on? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let's get this conversation going. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share with your crew, and tap that bell so you don't miss the next one. Catch you in the next video. Things are about to get even crazier. You ready to share it?